Hello and welcome back to the finishing line, proudly sponsored by Hollywood Bets, and Andrew was singing there as the thing cut off. Tom is on
Playing
route
foosball.
from football, so he will be here. So he'll jump in when he comes along.
Coming to you live from the finishing line sauna.
He shouldn't be too long.
He's roasting.
We'll ask him to do in his game of football when he comes along as well.
And yeah, what was the thing you said before?
And his horse ran well the other day again. Cool Arcade, was it?
Cool Arcade.
Or was it one of the other ones?
Barmoiled.
Was it
Barmoiled.
It's a Barmoiled.
I can't wait for McPhee.
So today we're going to go through some of the racing the weekend. There's a Group 1 at the Curragh, and the Curragh has some good racing, but overall it's one of these weekends of flat racing where it's not awe-inspiring to say the least. And then with it being live, and by the time Tom gets here, yeah, it's very warm in here. I think my brain's not working. By the time Tom gets here, that's quite hard to say. By the time.
Oh wow!
See, by the time Tom gets here, we will discuss everything that's going on in racing at the moment, and mostly the new rules in England brought in by the BHA for the whip rule. That's, I think, coming in maybe in September. And just we'll have a general chat about the kind of state of racing, which we've had done a few times, but the gambling commission and everything else that's going on is just
joke.
All the fucking suspensions and this thing and that thing.
May as well pull up the stumps now and be done with it.
So we'll wait till Tom gets along to do that anyway. And it will be uncensored as ever, and there'll be a few curse words. So if the kids are with you, put them to bed, because I don't want no comments coming
put
back
out
to
in the
me.
pool. I'd love to be on the pool. Should have done it from a pool.
I don't want the comments coming back to me to say you need to stop cursing, because I'm not going to do that.
That's what it's us.
So
Jesus, stop frightening me.
We will kick on straight away to the racing, and we are going to the Curragh on Saturday. We have no betting. The fields are not certain yet, and there's no betting, but we'll pick a few winners if we can. And the first one is the 203.
If we can.
At the Curragh. It's the Jebel Ali Racecourse and Stables Anglsey Stakes, Group 3, over 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds. And some of the entries at the moment are Blackbeard, who we know from Ascot, Congo River, Cody Noir, Little Big Bear, one of the favourites here of the podcast of this year.
Love him.
The Antarctic, Thunder Bear, Serious Challenge, and Unraced, Jim Bulger Colt, or maybe it's a filly.
Horse. 4 legs.
That's actually a gelding already, which is never a good sign. Victory Road, Boyce de Pedo, Yosemite Valley, and so on and so forth. Very hard to know what is running in this. But for me, if Little Big Bear runs, I would be siding with him. He'll probably be a short price, though, I imagine.
Big Little Bear all day. Another one I just like to rename.
Yeah.
Look, he was meant to run last week in Newmarket, but he was taken out. I don't know why. Do you know? Ground or whatever.
Could have been a little bit too soft.
Too soft? It's not going to be soft this weekend. Look, we know his form. His form's been franked already by Rocket Rodney from, I was going to say Cheltenham, from Royal Ascot. He bolted up in the Lister race, I think, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. That's very good form too. Where miles clear of the rest. He had to race on his own for most of the race. I think this is a very, very special horse. 6.5 furlongs going to suit him down to the ground. I think. I know he's out of a sprinter. What's the name of the fella? No name never. But I think the step up to 6.5 furlongs is going to suit him right down to the ground, and I think it'll take something special to beat him. Slaughterwalia is one that could run really well. We saw him win up in the Curragh a few weeks ago. He hosed up his first time up for Ger Lions. If he runs, take him serious, but Big Little Bear, Little Big Bear, Teddy Bear, the Bear wins.
Little Big Bear for me too. So the next one is the 235 the Curragh, the Paddy Power Scurry handicap, Premier handicap over 6 furlongs, and it's always a good handicap. These 5 furlong, 6 furlong sprints at the Curragh are a very, very good spectacle to watch. When you sent
this in, I was like, what is he doing to me?
That's a good spectacle to watch. And we do actually have betting for this.
Hold up now. This is a good spectacle to watch, but you hate the Epsom Dash.
Stupid fucking race.
That's the best thing.
It's not.
Oh, season to do flat race. It's just people run downhill.
Plainly to do with
very,
the draw.
Very fast. And
favorite is Come Shannon at 6-1.
Who?
Come Siobhan. No. Mr. Wagyu 7-1. Andreas Vesalius 7-1. Pirate Jenny 7-1. Nordic Passage 9-1. No More Porter. I like the name of that horse. 11-1. Prisoner's Dilemma 12-1. Lord Dudley 12-1. And then 14-1 Bar. Andrew, go on, tell us who's going to do it.
If Mr. Wagyu comes over, he's interesting. He runs decent races in these the whole time. 7-1 is a bit short, but look, he's tried and tested in these kind of races. He's not. John Quinn is not going to bring him over for the good of his health. Fourth last time out was a decent enough run. He won the time before that at Epsom by a short head. Fourth behind was Rohan, which is a good run. I think that'll work out to be a good race. Rohan, I think, is run at the Curragh this weekend. So I expect a big run out of Mr. Wagyu. He'd probably my main. Oh, what the hell did I do there? He'd probably be the main bet for me in this, and I'd give a chance to Blurmain as well. Natalia Lupini. He had an all right run. Not an all right run. He had a blow power run last time out. He was second before that, and he won the time before that. He's up to a mark of one. He's not up to a mark of 100. He's up to a mark of 90, which is a career high mark for him. But he was second, beating a neck off at the time before. So I think there's room for manoeuvre in this, and he's a horse that the big fields won't. What's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't give a shit about big fields.
Inconvenience.
That's the one. And why am I trying to be posh?
Don't know.
It's flat racing. I'm listening to you.
Convenience.
He won't mind big fields. That's what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, if you forgive him his last run, he'd have a chance. But if Mr. Wagyu comes over, I think he'll have a great chance.
Very good. And I am going to go for Big Gossy each way. As we're talking about the dash, the draw in these races tends to be a pointer to who's going to win and who has the best chance. So it's hard to know at the moment. But he runs very well at the Curragh. He was second the last day in this very race last year. He was fourth and then blazed the trail the next time out. I think it was in the race last September and won that. So he's been kind of coming to the boil this year. Second the last two times up in the weights. But I think he's getting better as a 5-year-old. And yeah, Big Gossy for me each way.
There's Big Tom.
Well, Big Tom.
So many words I want to say to you right there. No, Big Tom. Jesus Christ.
Did you win the football?
Sounds like Big Gordo. Did we win the football? No, less said about that, the better.
Small Tom. So,
no, let's talk about it. What happened? Where did the tactics go wrong? Who's to blame?
I can't. I honestly can't.
No, let it out, Tom. Let it out. They don't watch this. Come on, let it out.
Lack of teamwork and working together, and an unfit guy apparently called Big Tom doesn't help. So, yeah, we were back up to doing 90 minutes, and I realised my knee. I thought football didn't affect my bad knee because I was able to play, but apparently once you go over the hour mark, not good. Not good.
How was the legs after training yesterday?
Stiff. Yeah, stiff. Dave killed me. I haven't been to the gym for about a month, Andrew. And just through holidays, one thing or another. And Dave absolutely tortured me yesterday. My legs were in pieces.
That was very mean earlier.
Yeah.
Expect nothing less.
Didn't help. I won't take a month off again anyway.
Did you score?
Did I score? Yeah, I scored a couple, set up a couple. Wasn't too bad. Yeah. It was all right.
Okay. Anyway, on that note, we will kick on. And we are... Tom, you only missed 2 races, so you didn't do too bad. We are going to the 310 at Curragh, the Barberstown Castle, the Sapphire Stakes, Group 2 over 5 furlongs, speedballs. I'll rattle through all the horses that are entered for this. One of them I won't be able to say. Equilateral, Eros and Psych, Fine Wine, Logo Hunter, Rassel, who's done the podcast favor a couple of times, Mo, Celita, Munista, Caramosto, Casa Star, Last Crusader, New York City, Anno Sura, who's an improving filly, 3-year-old filly, Brush Tag, that must be Irish, Geocentric, and Ladies Church.
So which one couldn't you say?
That something Psych. Eros and Psych. Tom, you're only in, so we'll give you first choice on this. Give us the winner.
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance on Equilateral. It's got plenty of weight, has to give some weight to the 3-year-olds, but I was giving Rasil a chance, and if you're giving Rasil a chance, I feel you've definitely got to give Equilateral a chance on that run at Sandown. He got absolutely no run whatsoever, and finished just nudged in on the bridle. So I definitely would give him a fair shout, to be honest. Has come out of the cover a couple of times, has only ran all right in fairness, but ran well enough in the Flying 5, the Group 1 behind Glass Slippers a couple of years ago. So yeah, I'd give Equilateral a chance.
Andrew?
I was looking at Equilateral. I put him up the last day, but even though he didn't get a run, I'm not going in again. I think Rassel is the one of the most improving horses over this distance the last year. Look, overall, he's 9th and 15 in his career, which speaks volumes for his attitude and his improvement. He won a handicap off 94 at the start of the season, won a Lister race, and then he won the Group 3 at Sandown. The last time, he'll have a very, very good chance. He's kind of an uncomplicated horse. You can put him wherever you want. Turn a foot, keeps on. I reckon he'll be up around the top of the market. But I think he'll have a great chance. One who I'd give a chance to well is Aidan O'Brien's New York City. He was beat by Twilight Jet. And his last ride in Twilight Jet he was well fancied enough for the Commonwealth Cup where he finished last. And he went on to finish last again at Newmarket. But so that form, look, in hindsight, doesn't look that good right now. But his 2 performances before that were really good. And look, Aidan O'Brien's a master getting horses back to their peak. He could be a big enough price for an each way shout if he is. But I think Rassel, if he keeps improving, he could be hard to contain. But don't rule out New York City either. Only £2 in the official market, splitting the 2 of them.
Yeah, look, I like Rassel as well. I do think he'll go for the Nunthorpe at York, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't turn up. I respect the 3-year-old filly, but it's a different ball game when she's not getting loads of weight. She won a handicap in front of, I can't even speak today. She won a handicap in front of Big Gossie the last day, but she was only carrying 8 stone 1. So
who was this now?
Anno Sira.
See, I have to ask you to tell the people.
But she's improving, and the fact that she went into a handicap against seasoned horses and 5 and 6-year-olds, and she won is a good sign. So she could be good, but you'd want an each way price on her.
Ground be an issue?
I don't know.
I love throwing questions.
She's by Kodiak, so she surely would go on anything.
Do you know the way you go if she's by Kodiak? Like normal Joe, so if you could say he's by John Wayne, so it mightn't hinder him, half the people haven't a clue. They go, oh yeah, Dave knows.
The flat yaks know what they're talking about with the Sawyers. But the one that just runs kind of a decent race all the time, no matter what kind of level, she rarely wins, but she runs a decent race, is Moonista. And I think she's probably an each way bet. She won't be favoured, and she probably won't be more than 10-1. But
she's only 4.
Yeah, she seems to be around for years.
Christ.
4 years, in fact, but seems longer. So Moonista each way, and I'm a little bit worried about the 3-year-old filly. Okay, we're on to the 345, the Juddmonte Irish Oaks Group 1 for the fillies over 1 mile and 4. John O'Pemley is the favourite at 1-2. Magical Lagoon 4-1. Tuesday, by the looks of things, probably not going to run at 4-1.
Isn't she?
I don't think she will, no. By judgment by what Aidan is talking. And
it was up today that she was run.
Don't believe it.
Hold up now.
Well, I hope she runs because she was given a poor enough ride the last day.
Where did I see it? Keep
going. Tranquil Lady 7-1. Aidan O'Brien Brigade then. History at 14-1. Emily Dickinson, who ran well the last day, 16-1. Cordiga Joe 25-1 and 33-1 Bar. Andrew. John O'Pemley.
John O'Pemley realistically should reverse the form with Tuesday. I think Tuesday's had to have a long season already. She's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs already. I think they were all in classics and Group 1s. So it'll take a massive performance to hold up the form with John O'Pemley. if Frankie doesn't make a balls of it again, I think she should win.
Yep.
I think she was the best horse in the race when you consider she stumbled at the start. Frankie, being Frankie, thought he was on an airplane. Probably was on an airplane, but left it too late to challenge down the stand side with Ryan. Got the run on the outside. Magic Lagoon, good improver, put up last time. I don't think she's up to this level, to be honest. Well, not this level, not as good as Emily Upjohn. Look, 1 to 2 at a price any normal Joe So wants to be backing at. But I think if Tuesday runs, she'd probably be placed because the rest of them have it defined with her, really. She's a good, 6-7 pounds clear for the rest of them, if not more. 4 to 1, it's a muggy each way bet with Tuesday. But Emily Upjohn should be winning this, really.
Tom?
I'm going to stay away from the head of the market and take one each way, and I'm sticking with Emily Dickinson each way. Really fancied her for the Oaks going into the Lingfield Oaks trial. And she just didn't run a race that day. She had 61 days off and missed the Oaks. So I presume there was something wrong. She's come back then in a Leopardstown Group 3. I know it was over a mile 6, and this would obviously be a step back in trip. But she kind of didn't get much of a run there, and then when she did, she ran on well. She was off, like, she had a Fisher handicap rating 86. She's now up to 103. To be honest, she wouldn't really have to improve much more to get into the places here. The front two are a little bit clear on ratings, but then the rest of them are much of a muchness. And at 20 to 1, I just think she's got a fair chance of reaching the frame anyway.
Yeah, and although I would think probably Emily Upjohn is the most likely winner.
Oh no, Dave. I see a comment. Don't say I've missed it. Don't say I've missed it. Goofy 101 has just said unanswered, just bolted up at Killarney, Tom. Oh my God, at 5 to 2.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Tony Martin horse.
Tony Martin,
however,
literally the best handicapped horse in the country.
Yeah, he's winning last 2 in a row by streaks. And
good.
He's so well in over. He's so well in over hurdles.
Well done to anyone that had a bet. Tom didn't.
That's what you get for going playing football.
Yeah. 5 to 2, lads. Oh,
Andrew is deserting her, but if I'm getting 4 to 1, I'm going to have an each way bet on Magical Going. Her form is steadily progressive. She's ran one poor enough race in her life, but it was in the Phillies Mile last year. And Inspiral was in that, Group 1 winner. Prosperous Voyage, Group 1 winner. Cachet, Group 1 winner. Miss Unseen, who me and Andrew both liked for the Irish 1000 Guineas, and she just didn't run up to scratch. Wild Beauty is a good horse. Concert Hall is a good horse. And then you had Magical Lagoon. I think she beat a decent horse, although Cecil Grove the last day at Ascot was a bit of a loony tune.
Bitch.
But I think she's a Group 1 horse as well. So I think Magical Lagoon is a good bet each way to go against the favourite, especially if Tuesday doesn't run. She's by Galileo, so she's only going to keep getting better, I think.
When she won at Ascot, the first thought that came into my head when she won the way she did, that's a leisure horse.
Yeah, the Cora is a stiff enough finish, so I think the Cora will suit her.
If they go off like the Clappers, she's going to be staying on at the finish.
Yeah, and Jessie's been in much better form the last maybe 2 weeks and 3 weeks or so.
Season up to
she wasn't the best at the start of the season, so I think she's a good each way bet. So Magical Lagoon
she
for
doesn't
me.
Train jumpers anymore.
There you go. Okay.
Where are we going?
Next race, we are going to the 256 at Newbury, the Bet365 Hackwood Stakes, Group 3, and Sense of Duty.
Take
My
it away,
filly
Dave.
is
Take
in
it away,
this
Dave.
7 to 4 favourite. She's a certainty. There, I said it. Man of Promise is 5 to 1. Rohan 5 to 1. Happy Romance is 5 to 1. Minzal 7 to 1. Go Bears go 8 to 1. Diligent Harry, who's a yak, and Andrew will probably tip him again anyway. 9 to 1 and 12 to 1 bar. There's a Group 1 filly in this. Her name is Sense of Duty. Again, 7 to 4. I suggest you back that horse. Andrew, you can go now.
What he said.
Tom?
And Rohan will follow him home. Or home, sorry.
Yeah, I won't knock Sense of Duty. I've been impressed with her, to be fair. This is a never.
When you say I'm not about to, I wouldn't knock her. You're just about to knock her.
No. It's another step up in class for her, obviously, but she's looked very good. And yeah, in a race, I wouldn't have there's a lot of horses I don't really like in there. Diligent Harry definitely being one of them. So yeah, I think she's obviously the one who could go and take a step forward, isn't she, against a few exposed sorts. So yeah, and she's short enough, but she's not crazy short, is she?
Look, her form is working out. She beat Flotus. He was second in. Jesus Christ, she get very hepped up over this.
She was second in the Commonwealth Cup, and then Flotus pretty much bolted up last week then as well.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say this, the person that put the comment in underneath saying that I hadn't a clue what I was talking about. Flotus wouldn't win. And then Julie went to win, and he writes underneath it that he backed her. You're an idiot.
What was the other one about Mauge as well?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't we got some was
don't know what I thought about Mauge either, because Meditate's no way a better filly than Dramatized. But
I said that.
We shall see.
I got cruised.
Because the horse that was second to Dramatized was fucking dead last. And Tom owes me a point. And he owes Andrew a point.
Arc Weekend is going to be free.
You better be
this unanswered. This unanswered thing gets even worse, right? Because for fuck's sake, he won.
He's so pissed off.
Oh, I'm even more pissed off now. He won a 1 mile 6 flat handicap today off of 64, right? Now he won it by 2.75 lengths or 2 3/4 lengths. I haven't seen a race. He's not going to get put up more than £11. I have picked out a race this week, or I should say, me and Nathaniel picked out a race this week that might suit Baron Wild at Galway, which is a 1 mile 6, 0 to 75 handicap on the flat. And guess who's going to run there, lads? Unanswered.
The only thing is the draw means a lot in Galway, so you could be all right.
He's that well, and he could be drawn at the car park.
This horse could be drawn in Sligo, and he'd win.
Galway is the worst.
It's like when Princess Oi was drawn out wide. Just keep her wide. Keep her low.
The best thing for Galway is to keep her money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Newbury 3:30, the Weatherbys Super Sprint. We need to kick on because we need time to talk about what we need to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Where we go? The Weatherbys Super Sprint.
Look at this.
Favorites: Maria Branwell, Rogue Spirit, second favorite. Actually, they're joint favorites. Maria Branwell was favorite, but 11-4. Eddie's Boy 11-2. Miami Girl 7-1. Swift Asset 8-1. Who's being backed in significantly. Union Court 12-1 and 14-1 Bar. It's a pretty decent 2-year-old race worth a lot of money. Richard Hannon has a good record in it, his father and Richard Hannon Jr. Any selections here?
Richard Hannon, Miami Girl. Look, won a 3-horse race the last day, beating Cuban Mistress. It was a decent enough performance. She was 4 and 3/4 lengths behind Dramatized. The last, I can't talk now. I'm getting Dave syndrome here. In the Queen Mary, won by Dramatized. Look, Mail and C kind of let the form down the last day. But I think she will run a decent race. She's 7-1. It's a good each way price in a race that realistically is wide open. There's a lot of horses. The most raced is Michael's Bay. He's at the race 5 times. So at the top of the market, 3 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs. I think it's a race I don't like betting it in, and I don't really look too much into it because God only knows how much they're going to improve from run to run. But I think 7-1 is a decent each way price. Swift Asset, just seeing their 50s into 8s. What the hell is with that?
Tom?
I think Maria Branwell even is rightfully favourite or nearly favourite. Anyway, as you say, Dave, joint favourites. Ran a cracker at Ascot in the Queen Mary. I know that Mayland C let the form down, but that race at Newmarket wasn't run to suit her at all. Morge got the lead, and she needs a fast gallop to run at, and that I just put a line through that for her. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. there's a couple in here obviously could take a step forward, but they're going to have to take a big step forward. It's a no bet race for me, to be honest. I wouldn't really want to be backing her at that price, but I think she's rightfully at the top of the market.
Yeah, and for me, those at a shorter price, I agree with Andrew, Miami Girl. And then I might have an each-way bet, and my selection is Amor Propra. Around 40-1, Sean Levy on Richard Hannon horse, and just because he's a good record in it, and he's had horses run well at big prices. So, and as Andrew was saying, it's a bit of a mad race. It's like a nursery. So there's horses progressing at different rates of speed. Very hard to pick the winner.
Mm-hmm.
We've 2 races on Sunday at the Curragh, and then we are going to bang on and talk about whips and stuff.
Wow.
Tom, this horse absolutely bolted up.
Yeah.
I'm watching it, yeah. Hands and heels the whole way to the line.
Whips and Big Tom.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy one bit. If it ends up in that race at Galway, I am going to be really pissed off.
So the 210 on the Curragh on Sunday is the Romanized, who's a decent horse back in the day. Minstrel Stakes. Could you remember Romanized?
He used to win in France the whole time.
Yeah.
The purple kind of ready star.
Yeah. Order of Australia, Prisoner's Dilemma, Real Appeal, San Andreas, Snap Retaria, Thunder Moon, Pearls Galore, winner. Doctor's Inf, Andrew's going to pick him. Ever Given, Contarelli Chapel, who we haven't seen for a while, and Hello You. Andrew, you may as well pick Doctor's Inf because I know you're going to.
No, Order Australia, Dave.
Okay.
Massive drop in class. To me, probably by far the best horse in the race. You go back to his farm. He came back this season. He's 5.5 lengths behind Boyd. He's notoriously needs his first run, so I'm expecting a big performance on Sunday if he runs. Look, he's behind Alcohol Free last year, 2 lengths behind Palace Pier, a length and a quarter behind Boyd, and then look, you can ride off his run and the Breeders' Cup, where he's 9 lengths behind Love. To me, he's a Group 1 horse in a Group 3 race, in Group 2 race. He has to give away £3-5 to the rest of them. Dr. Zemph and gone off him now altogether. I just think he's a listed Group 3 horse at best. Pearls Galore will be the main danger for God. But I think Order of Australia, if he comes back to his Group 1 form, even last year behind Boyd or Palace Pier, he'll take some beating in this.
Tom tried to explain to you last week that you need to back God's horses.
I did back God this week and he bloody lost.
You need to back
so I don't believe in God
horses
anymore.
And again, he has a Group 1 winner waiting to happen in Pearls Galore, and she will beat the field on Sunday. Order of Australia doesn't know how to win, so I wouldn't even be worried about him.
He's a hound, Dave. Say it as
He's
it
a
is.
hound.
He's a hound.
He's a hound. Pearls Galore, Tom, and I know you're going to pick her too.
Yeah, she wins, Dave. As you said, you've got to back God's horses. He's had 6 runners in the last 14 days, 2 winners, 33% strike rate. That might sound high. No. That's the average strike rate. The other horses are
Yes.
Second half for there. Call now to avail of our 33% strike rate.
I should be getting paid for this, really, shouldn't I? The promotion of this trainer.
I can't wait till he sends Le Petit Coco to the Nassau and Goodwood, and everybody in England doesn't realize who he is or what the horse is.
God is
6-1, and we make loads of money.
I have to.
Wouldn't you love to see? Wouldn't you love to see Chapman on ITV when it wins? Go, and God has arrived.
The real second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Believe it if you want, lads. Look, 2 good wins this year. Only won by a neck last time, but I like her. I really think she deserves one of these as well. Ran some cracking races in defeat last year and when winning. And in a race where I don't really fancy much else, and there's a few question marks against most of the field, I think she's got an outstanding chance, really, to go and win this Group 2. And, she gets weight off Order of Australia and a couple more. The 3-year-olds I'm not sold by any of them. So yeah, I think it's got a cracking chance.
Okay. And the last one, the 355 at the Curragh on Sunday, the Kilboy Estate Stakes, Group 2 for the fillies over a mile and 1 furlong. And no betting, but emphatic answer, Potapova, Rumbles of Thunder, Technique, the Blue Brilliant, Purple Pay, Contarelli's Chapel is entered in this as well. Galeria, Borghese, History, Lily Pond, Lullaby, all the Aidan O'Brien horses. Miss Maribel, 1 for Bobby. Oh my, I'm not saying the rest of them. Andrew, do you have a selection? This is very difficult.
I have no idea, Dave. God only
Very
knows
difficult.
what's going to run, who's going to bring over what. Which one of Aiden's is going to run, you don't know. Look, if Technique came over, I'd be interested at an each way price, but Rumbles and Thunder as well for God. I'm just going to refer to him as God now. What the hell of it? Yeah, I'm going to back God. Rumbles and Thunder, God, it all ties into one.
Tom?
In other words, I have to clue, lads.
Yeah, the one I'd give a chance to. I'm still a fan of Purple Pay even. I do think there's a
Purple Pay. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, Purple Pay. I think there's a big race in her this season. She's already won a Group 2 out in France. Didn't get the best of runs at the Curragh when she finished 5th the last day in the Pretty Polly. And I think this should suit the Kilboy. 1 mile 1. I think, yeah, should suit it down to the ground, really. And I'd take a chance.
Yeah, same. William Haggis sending a horse over. He's a good record.
Abandoning God.
Probably wasn't in the right position probably the last time. With the way the Curragh was riding the last meeting, you needed to be up at the pace. And she was beaten by decent fillies anyway. Petty Coco beat her and My Astra. So I think she'd have a good chance of getting a Group 2 on the board now on Sunday. That's the racing over. Some of the comments. Ben has lads, Maria Branwell is 5-10 pounds better than the field and gets weight from some of them. They're 2-year-olds, Ben. They are growing at different speeds and different rates. And
God only knows what happens.
She does not have 10 pounds in hand of the field. And if you want to have an old point on that, I'll take the field and you can have Maria Branwell.
Ben, that's like saying that Shishkin beat Energamene once and he'll always beat him. Didn't work out like that.
He's never
I'll happily take
Tom.
I'll happily take the other 25 horses in the field. No problem.
Ben's good crack, so he'll take a bit of stick.
Yeah,
so
he'll take
he put off on Twitter the other day. He said something along the lines of, I love him watching the replay of the Ascot race with Shishkin and Energamene. And I'm not very good on Twitter, but I wrote back to him.
Terrible troll.
I said, I bet you're not watching the Champion Chase too often. Nope.
The other comments, Tom, you'll be happy to hear is generally people saying they're back unanswered, and none of us did. But there you go.
What a doobie that was, lads. Shows how busy I am. If my bosses are watching this, that's how busy I was in work today. I didn't even know that horse was running.
Okay, so we will kick on to the main news of this week, and we'll spend about 20 or so minutes on it because we could spend a whole show and be arguing back and forth and so on and so forth. It's mainly about the whip, but if you want to touch on the stuff with they're trying to get more people in with the crowds being so low, and we touched on this I think when Tom was on holidays, that they've given Jermaine Genius money to try and promote racing, which is the biggest fucking load of bollocks I ever heard in my life.
And there's the jumps racing, Dave.
The suspensions, which you touched on last week, which are just outrageous. And the general gist of racing at the moment seems to be all over the place. But the newest thing is the whip rule. I'll leave the lads discuss if they agree with it or disagree with it. And we'll go from there. Andrew has some recommendations and rules if people don't know what we're talking about. And
First off, it's a farce.
He's going to go through those now.
Look, the core recommendations were, and these are after racing post, use of the whip for encouragement to be limited to backhand position only, which is, I'm going to get my left hand. This, not this, that. So that's the first one. Yeah, no more of that in the bedroom either. Development of a review
That's what
panel.
Big Tom does.
Yeah, which is responsible for elevation of rights and any necessary sanction of action, including directing jockeys to further training. Increased penalties for offences, including double suspensions in a major race when the whip is used above the permitted levels. Disqualification introduced for offences in which the whip has been used 4 times or more above the permitted levels in all races. Now, this is just in the UK. This is not in Ireland. So this is the BHA route. Look,
Andrew, how do you feel about it?
It's a fucking farce. It's an absolute farce to keep all these little snowflake dopes happy outside. Who probably never stepped foot inside a race course. The perception of racing. We have to look good on the outside for people looking on the in. People looking from the outside in. That will never step inside a race course. That will never have a bet. That will never go to any stables. That will never contribute anything to racing, bar bad. That's the gist of it. And there was people on. I forgot to write this down. Some charity welfare organization was on the board making this decision. Please explain that to me. First off. Second off, the amount that they can use it, the flat 7, grand, 5 furlongs, 7 wax, grand, fair enough. 8 over jumps, 3 mile slog around Limerick, on heavy ground in the depths of winter, on some yoke that has a fetish like you getting whipped around the place, gets going every now and then. That's stories to be told.
Shan't deny it.
I cannot fathom how it's 7 for a 5 furlong race.
Don't you shake your head at me.
And 8 for a 3 mile race to a Grand National, to a 2 mile race. 2 mile race as well. For a horse. Matt Chapman touched on it. This is going to turn into an industry of bridle merchant horses. That's what they want. Bridle merchant horses do everything on the bridle. They don't want the likes of the Denmans, the Big Bucks, the horses like that, Paisley Parks, who need a lot of encouragement to get going. As they alluded to, these are cushioned whips, whatever they want to call them. They're air padded whips. They don't hurt the horse. And my gripe about this now, and I watched it yesterday at the races, smaller jockeys now, take this into account. They will not have the reach to get back. They get back with the normal backhand. Now with doing the forehand, they're going to start hitting the flank, whether they like it or not, because they're not going to have the reach to get back further, because the extension of the arm, the extension of the whip is negated straight away. And what will happen then if they're trying to reach back? Their core stability goes off. If the horse jinks, they're gone, because their equilibrium to the horse is gone. Their balance is gone. They're going to get done for hitting them in the wrong place as well. It makes no sense to me. There was not a lot of talking into it. The people that did think about it are people who just want to have racing look at this perfect industry, where it's not. Of course it's not. But it boggles my mind how it's going to work. And I just think it's on the path of them trying to get rid of the whip.
Tom.
To be honest, I thought about it. I don't have too much of a problem with it. I think this is obviously the way everything has to evolve. And whether we like it or not, there is a perception that in horse racing you hit horses. And if you do use the whip underarm or backhand rather than overarm, then it does look a hell of a lot better. Let's face it. Take the Grand National, for example. There were numerous fallers in the Grand National, right? So what did they do? They lowered the fences and they made them safer. Now there's hardly anything said about it. So, we have got to move with people. We can't just ignore people. If we just shut up shop and say, no, don't give a shit what you think. This is us. This is it. The world is developing. The world is moving on. You look at what went on in the world, 50, 100 years ago. and how different things were viewed, how different things were done. And it's a lot different now. And it is developing. It is moving forward. There is a culture that says, no, you can't actually do that. The whole argument about the whip and people calling it the Pro Crush. I mean, I don't buy the whole, oh, it's a Pro Crush, it's not a whip. Come on, lads, it's a whip. Like that's you're never going to educate people that it's a Pro Crush and not call it a whip to outside people. Is that it makes a noise and it encourages a horse to go forward and it doesn't hurt a horse. Well, if that's the case, and the noise is the effect that you're coming out of, you're going to get the same noise if you use it backhand or in your forearm. So I don't buy that it's going to make too much of a difference.
You're not going to get the same sound though. It's not going to be a high. You won't.
You will.
You hit somebody like that, and you hit someone like that. I guarantee you'll put more pressure doing that, and you'll do that.
I've used one on horses, and you can get. I actually would argue you nearly get more of a sound out of using it backhand than you would in your forearm. And you've definitely more control over it using it in the backhand than you do in the forearm. What I do like is that they've brought in a disqualification for overuse. I think that's welcomed. I like as well that the disqualification is over is four uses over. It's not one use over and you're out, because let's face it, when you're in the height of sport, you may overcount one use of the stick. If you use it 4 over, then yeah, you'll get disqualified. And if you look at this year's Grand National, the winner would have been disqualified. But I don't think we're going to get many cases where horses get disqualified for this. I really don't. What I would like to see now is that I think they've dealt with this. I don't think some animal charities are ever going to be happy as long as we use it. But I think we've dealt with it in a necessary way that is acceptable. I think it meets a middle ground. And I would now like to see them go on and look at the interference rules. Because if they dealt with the interference rules this strictly, I think we would get a long way. However, people watching the telly care a lot more about horses getting hit with sticks than jockeys falling on the floor or punters losing a bet because a horse gets chopped off. That's just reality. So yeah, I don't think they're too bad. I think people will get used to them pretty quickly. And look, it's the way we're going, lads. Times are changing. If you stand still, you get left behind. So we got to move forward.
I don't see why they had to get this far. Right, if they're using the whip over, why didn't they just do what they said now? If you use a 4 over, you're disqualified. Keep it the same, and if you hit the horse in the wrong place, same thing. We're bowing down to people from the outside. That's what's happening. There's none of this. Yeah, but why should you? That's
because it's society and it's
what
perception.
Happens when people have this whole perception. It's you're hitting horses, you're flogging horses. That's people from the outside getting that into other people. You can do this in any sport. You get enough people saying something bad about one sport, and they'll have no choice in the matter but to change it because they want to keep the perception. But I guarantee you, then people will come back and say something about something else.
All of these sports are evolving though. You look at F1. The halo came into place as a safety thing. There was uproar about it from within the sport, how it shouldn't have been brought in. And there's lads on there at Silverstone saying, Jesus Christ, I was against this, and that's just saved his life. You look at rugby. There's massive changes going on in
engineers. Rugby. That's engineers that know what this will do to that person inside it. That will protect that person inside that from breaking their neck or whatever if the car crashes. Changing that back. Go on. It's
perception and safety as well. And the rugby thing is perception as well as safety. Some of those big hits going in, one, it's not safe. 2, it looks terrible. Same with the NFL. They've changed their rules massively.
But none of them are dealing with half-ton animals.
Yeah, but you're not saying you can't use the stick. You can use the stick, you just can't use it in a forearm position.
But it's where it's going. This is going to end up that they're not going to be able to use the whip bar down the neck for correctional purposes. And you know what's going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know if it will, because I think we've taken a step forward now to protect this and put this to bed for the next 15 years, I think.
See, I'm somewhere in the middle, because I totally agree with Andrew in the fact that that's where it's going. And I kind of agree with Tom in that it's not that bad if it stays the way it is. Like, the changes they've made are not that bad. But to me, it's a wider problem with society in general, and not just racing, and the whole woke society of trying to change everything from horse racing to anything. I disagree with you, Tom, because I think the people that the BHA have listened to on this will not stop until, to be honest, there was no horse racing. I don't think it's anything to do with a whip. I don't think it's lots of them already said the changes are not enough. We're going to keep going till there is no whip. And I'd say if there was no whip, then it'll be, we're not going to stop till there's no racing. We're not going to stop till no horses get injured. And unfortunately, that's the sport it is. It's a sport where jockeys get injured and horses get injured. And, sometimes it's not great and bad things happen. At Newmarket last week, there was 3 horses had to be put down, and it was just literally a freak accident. But when the likes of Christian Eriksen and so on and so forth had heart attacks on the field, we don't stop playing football. And things happen. Like, that was a freak accident. When a horse gets injured, it's more often than not a freak accident. But the people that are forcing this change in horse racing, in my opinion, won't stop till there is no horse racing. It's not about a whip. It's not about a jockey. It's about horses and animal welfare. And they think the horses are treated bad, and probably things in the past that have gone on, like Big Gordo and stuff. They're the people that wanted Big Gordo to never train a horse again in his life. So, I agree with Tom in that I don't think the recommendations are overly bad, and they could easily be implemented. But I can see them changing in another 12 months or 24 months, and it'll be no whip, or it'll be something else, and it'll just keep going on and on. When you keep bowing down to outside influences, it will just keep changing. And it's the general problem in horse racing with the people at the top of horse racing, in my opinion, don't really know what they're doing or where they're going with it. It's the whip now, but the Jermaine Genius thing, like pumping money into that, makes no sense to me. I'm not saying that we could do any better job, but the 3 of us sit here every week and do 2 shows, and we're passionate about racing, and people might not like me, but they like Andrew, or they like Tom, or they might like me and they might not like Tom, but they watch because we're passionate. Yeah.
None of them like any of us.
They watch because we're passionate about racing, and we have some knowledge about racing. Like, why would you pump money into it? Like, there's so many other podcasts around, The Witch and Josh, Next Gen, loads of lads, Chet Mental, like all doing similar stuff that, in my opinion, would do a far better job of promoting racing with far less money given to podcasts and so on and so forth. And it's generally just the whole thing. It never makes any sense. They can't get the suspensions right regards interference. I mean, it's not that hard. We've talked about it, Tom. You were pretty adamant of what needs to be done. Just harsher penalties, it'll stop. I don't know. I don't get at all how they can't get things right. And I think the last few years have been poor enough for horse racing in general.
Yeah, what I think now. Go on.
I think. Sorry, Andrew. I think we need a shake up. There's too much of the old boys brigade, and it's very hard to shake up the old boys brigade when you get inside it. I was, for those of you who don't know, I was a politician for 5 years, and you go into it in your first year and you think you're going to change the world, and by year 5, to be honest, you can't give a shit anymore. Because it's so ground down by internal people who's friends with this person, who's friends with that person, who just want to do stuff for their own benefit, not the benefit of other people, which is why you get elected in the first place. And there's so many people who you will see prominent, like I've seen prominent businessmen in our town go into it and say, right, you know, we're going to shake this up. And you go into it. And then by the end of year 5, they don't run again because they're like, this is just a waste of time. The only way you change those things is you completely strip it bare and build it back up again. And there's arguments to do that. I know Kevin Blake goes on about like the jumps program in the UK. And it's literally a case of you could rip it up and start it again. And let me tell you, when you've got the likes of Fergal O'Brien and Dan Skelton saying we need a break in summer jumps racing, you know times are bad then. Because those are the guys who thrive off of that stuff.
That's another massive problem. There's way too much
there needs to be massive changes. I think this is one of them. I don't think it's too bad.
I think the backhand that they're only allowed to do backhand, I think is bad in a safety standpoint for jockeys. Because
I don't think it is.
I think it is. Because if you have, right, say, for instance, again, you're riding over whatever, and you're going for a finish, and you're giving it everything, and you're trying to reach back as far as you can by backhanding. And that horse jinks a tiny bit. You're gone back so far, you're gone out the side door. There's no two ways about it. You're gone out the side door.
Here's another thing for you.
But if you have it normal, you're in your normal riding position, you're further up the horse, your course is engaged, where this you're trying to lean back and do it at the same time. And if that horse goes that way, you're gone fucking that way. I nearly wet myself.
Nearly went off the chair there, Tom.
But I'm telling you now, there's going to be an injury about this. Mark my words, something's going to happen. Because it's not as easy as just doing this. You hit that, you're going to hit the horse in the flank the whole time. If you have that the normal way, you're going to do it.
I actually think you'll balance yourself more using it in a forearm like that than you would in that motion.
That's more natural. That's more natural to the rhythm in your body. That's when
you're moving around more.
No, but when you have to take into account, now you have to lean back more to hit that spot. Taking small jockeys, Holly Doyle is small. She's going to have to lean back a lot further now to get the horse in the correct position. What if she's using the backhand, she starts hitting it in the wrong position? Then what's going to happen? There's more whip issues now.
One of the lads said there, lads, whipping horses. Think about it. Would you whip your dog? You don't fucking ride your dog like.
Your dog is not a
animal. You don't put a saddle on your dog. You don't put a saddle on your dog and ride him. And
your dog is not a pack animal either.
It's stuff that you can't compare that, because like as well, if a dog bites you, you generally think he's a nasty dog and he gets put down. So like that's neither here nor there.
That's another can of worms.
Tom made a good point in my opinion in regards to changing that led to positive things like the Grand National, and I'm all for the change if it's going to end up being better for racing. But the issue I have is I just think it's just going to continue and continue. And the people that are driving it are people that just don't want horse racing.
Like, where does it stop? Do they suddenly say jumps racing is too dangerous? Take out the jumps. We're all flat racing now. The undulations and courses put too much stress on their joints. Only run on flat tracks. It's going to head down stupid avenue. There's too many woke fucking people out there that have opinions that they can't keep to themselves, that know nothing about anything, and who just decide to wake up on the other side of the bed, and I'm going to choose anger today.
Yeah, well, I don't think we can fix the world, unfortunately.
I'll throw this one out there. Is it going to bring a further gap between the very good jockeys and the mediocre jockeys? You look at a lot of people who would say, you know, Kieran Fallon.
What's his new name?
No, that could just be someone else, to be honest.
It could be, yeah.
You look at Kieran Fallon, like the last thing he would have gone for the whip, and like was the whip, and he's such a natural horseman. Ruby would ride a horse. The last thing he go for the whip. Davy Russell uses the whip in his backhand half the bloody time anyway. The last thing he'd go for is the whip. And the other person, because I see her on our horses, is Rachel Blackmore. Like, you wouldn't describe Rachel as whip happy or anything, would you?
Yeah, but
Like,
then I'll put this to you then. Are they not riding the best horses in the race? Isn't they having the confidence in them horses?
No, there's a massive difference. And for
Oh,
anyone
like,
who
I'm not saying yes, of course there's a massive difference. They are like the best of the best.
For anyone who you could have hit McPhee's 20 times the other day, and if you'd have had him in the wrong positions, he probably wouldn't have even been third. The ride she gave that last day was class. Like, just go back and watch that ride. At every stage, she sees what's happening in front of her. She challenges at the right time. Now, he didn't jump the last, and he got beat. But it was an absolute peach of a ride in defeat, because she was just everywhere you wanted her to be. She saw horses coming back on her. She was fantastic.
David Russell, first thing he goes for is his fist.
And AV wouldn't have a job.
That's what I put that to you. AP's ride at Cheltenham, what was it on?
Which alignment?
Which alignment? Do you think that was a bad ride, a horrible ride? It looked offensive and all that jazz.
It makes no sense to me.
It's one of the best rides people ever say there was.
It makes no sense to me that I couldn't even remember my age this year, but I can remember the name of a horse like that.
I'm doing that constantly.
That's fucking nuts.
Go back and watch that race, though, and watch how many times he hits it.
I even know who was second. I know who was there. Yeah.
Maljamar.
And Daryl Jacob was on it. Yeah. Daryl Jacob was trying to get his first Cheltenham.
See, now, Maljamar would win so many races now.
We could talk about this for ages, but we will try end on a more positive note.
I think, sorry, just on that, I think you're wrong now. I think this will bring about horses who try. It's horses who need to be hit with the whip, who don't try. They'll be the ones losing out. It's horses who put their heads down. Like,
big box be running the sellers.
To be honest, Ruby never really whipped him. He just caught him.
Yeah.
He gave a little flick on the neck.
He was a legend.
Yeah, big box class. Legend. Not like
big bucks would have. You don't need to hit big bucks. Big bucks would have ran on if you just pushed him along anyway. Guarantee you.
Oh, so lazy.
We'll try end on a more positive note and give our nap a next best for the weekend. Tom, you can go first.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
You're welcome, Tom.
My nap is going to be Emily Dickinson each way, and Purple Play as well. Or Purple Pay. Keep calling her Play. I don't know
why. My nap is Sense of Duty in the Hackwood Stakes, and my next best is Magical Lagoon.
Nap, Sense of Duty, next best, Order Australia.
Guys, if you want to leave your own tips and comments in the section below. Tom, any Pimlico runners before we go?
Cool Arcade on Sunday at Tipperary. 2 entries. We'll take a look on Friday morning. But yeah, really looking forward to him over fences. I think Tipperary will suit him. And what was the other? Oh yeah, no, just Baron Wild ran on Monday. Ran a cracker, finished second. So.
We were talking about him before you came on, so he ran very well.
Very kind of him. Looks slow as a boat. I never thought he'd look that slow because he works very well at home.
3 miles. 3 miles.
He either wants. I'd say a more galloping track is what I'd like to run him over. So, but we'll see.
Early season 3 mile handicap at Punchestown or somewhere like that.
I'm not sure we go straight to 3 mile. We might go to 2.5 first.
2.5. Are you going to the Curragh Saturday, lads? Nope. I'm working. Dave scrolled up, took the match bet. I saw it, Ben. We'll talk on Sunday and you'll owe me a point. On Sunday, we'll be back with Talking Points. 8 p.m. We going live again?
Yeah, why not?
Go live as normal. We'll talk about the Irish Oaks and the racing in the Curragh and so on and so forth. Okay. And hopefully Sense of Duty will prove she's a Group 1 filly in the making.
The faster they go, the better for her.
And hopefully we have some winners.
And a barbecue and a few drinks. Maybe 30 degrees on Sunday. Good Lord.
Tom, enjoy the weather. Stretch out them legs. You don't want them too stiff.
Yeah.
Up the bees.
I will.
Big Tom. Andrew.
Dave.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.